Senator Capito.
Thank you, Chairman Merkley, and thank you, Ranking Member Wicker, for having this, and thank the both of you being before the committee. Appreciate it. We're obviously considering both your nominations of Stephen Owens and Catherine Sandoval. I guess the entire board is consistent of 5, but there are presently just 2. Is that correct? Yes. Congress established, obviously, the CSB to investigate facts, conditions, and circumstances and causes of chemical releases. It's a critical role in determining, certainly for where I live, we're called Chemical Valley, and for a reason. And so your role is very important to us in my home state. But we do have some question as to how the CSB has been fulfilling its responsibilities. The EPA inspector report stated that the CSB's operations are challenged by vacancies in mission-critical positions and an inability to fully use resources Congress has allocated. Further, CSB staff are concerned that leadership, internal review processes, and reported backlogs are impeding CSB's ability to accomplish its mission. The Inspector General also identified significant data vulnerabilities. And so attracting and maintaining full-time staff is difficult. I will have to say we have many boards in front of us, and you're not alone here. This is an issue, I think, government-wide, as we see turnover of people in their 60s moving on. And so, but to only have 12 chemical incident investigators who are now working on 17 open investigations, you know, what happens when we have the next accident? I mean, this you can see why everything is so delayed and the timely releases is pushed back. So one of the questions that came to mind that I have along those lines is keeping us as members of the Senate and also over on the House side apprised as to what's happened with investigations in our own states. I think Senator Wicker was talking about something that is parochial to his state. So I would ask, I think it came about that we've had an accident and we were not made aware of what the final findings were until after it was made public to the press. So, Mr. Owens, I don't know if we could elicit a promise from you that you'll take into better considerations the updates and final reports before going public. We would certainly like to have the a little bit of a heads up there.
Senator, thank you for the question, and the answer is absolutely. That's a commitment that I will make here today, and it's one that we've tried to already do. I mentioned, I think before you arrived, we just released updates on 4 investigations, including the Optimabel incident in 2020 that occurred in your state. The agency had stopped doing those updates last year, but Sylvia Johnson, my fellow board member, and I determined that these provide very important information to stakeholders as well as members of the House and Senate, and we're going to continue to do that. And we're more than happy, in fact, eager to brief you and your staff on any incident and to certainly give you a heads up before we release a final report, so you'll know what's going on with it.
Thank you. That would be much appreciated. Ms. Sandoval, can I get elicit the same response from you that you would be more inclusive of giving us heads up and updates in our offices?
Absolutely. Would be happy to coordinate and certainly believe in transparency.
Good. And I mean, it's essential for us in order to conserve our constituencies, but also to provide the best information to them. A lot of times we're working with county and city officials to make sure that we understand what the reports are saying. So we want to be helpful to you, but we also want to be helpful to those who are going to be interacting. Mr. Owens, I went through some of what the Inspector General said. Do you agree with the report that came out, and do you take any issues with the quotes that I decided to kind of handpick out of there?
Well, there have been a lot of, Senator, thank you for the question. There have been a lot of Inspector General reports, and I think most of them are right on. They're very spot on in terms of the issues they've identified with lack of board members, decreasing personnel, IT, cybersecurity issues, and we're working very hard to address all of those. I worked very closely with the EPA Inspector General when I was at EPA during the Obama administration, and I'm very appreciative of the work that they do. They've highlighted some very important issues for us to address.
Well, in terms of hiring, I mean, you do have a much higher attrition rate than the EPA. What plans does the board and the agency or the whole entity have to fill these much needed positions?
Well, Senator, thank you for the question. We've already been in the process of filling some of the more mission-critical positions. We hired a new chief information officer who's already working on a lot of the cybersecurity issues, working with the CSIA to address some of those concerns. We've hired a new chemical incident investigator already. We're in the process of advertising for another 4 or 5 more. And we've hired a couple of new recommendation specialists already, and those are the people that actually write the recommendations and work with our investigative staff to help produce the reports. But as you very correctly identified, with only 12 or so investigators who not only go into the field and do the investigations, when we do deployments, they have to come back and write those reports. They're already overloaded. And when we did the deployment to the BP Husky refinery in Ohio back in September, we had to take a half dozen or so investigators off of writing reports and send them to the field. And that's a very significant incident that occurred there. They've interviewed 100 people already in conjunction with that incident. And so we're very eager to get new staff on board, and we're working within the resource constraints we have, but we feel very optimistic that we can do that.
Well, I certainly hope you can too. I mean, I think that these are important jobs that you're filling and important reports that you're generating, and obviously in this time of cybersecurity, extremely important in terms of some of the dangerous materials that are being produced gladly here in this country. Thank you very much.